December 15th, 2014. A gunman walks into the Link Cafe in Sydney's Central Business District and takes 17 people hostage. As police cordons go up and thousands of workers evacuate downtown, something else is happening that should make your blood boil. Uber's prices are skyrocketing. We are talking 4 times the normal rate. A $25 ride home suddenly costs over $100. Screenshots flood Twitter showing surge pricing notices that might as well say pay up or stay trapped. People are literally fleeing a terrorist attack, and Uber decides this is the perfect time to maximize profits. The backlash is immediate and brutal. Stranded commuters post their outrageous fare quotes online. Local news picks up the story. Within hours, Uber scrambles into damage control mode with a press release claiming their algorithm automatically triggered surge pricing due to high demand, calling it an unfortunate but unavoidable technical response. But here's where this gets really ugly. This exact same pattern shows up again and again. Hurricane Sandy hits New York, surge pricing. London bridge attack, surge pricing. Boston Marathon bombing? You guessed it. Every single time there's a crisis where people desperately need transportation, Uber's prices mysteriously explode higher than a SpaceX launch. Their excuse is always the same tired line about automatic algorithms responding to demand. Just a computer making neutral market decisions. Nothing personal. Nobody's fault. Except leaked internal documents tell a very different story about what's really happening behind those surge notifications. Because what looks like algorithmic pricing based on supply and demand, that's actually a carefully engineered system designed to create artificial scarcity and extract maximum revenue from people who have zero alternatives. You're about to discover how Uber's surge pricing algorithm doesn't just respond to shortages. It manufactures them. Let's start with how Uber says this whole thing works. According to their glossy promotional materials and carefully crafted blog posts, surge pricing is basically economics 101 in action. When demand for rides goes up, but the number of available drivers stays the same, prices increase to incentivize more drivers to get on the road. More drivers mean shorter wait times. Higher prices mean drivers earn more money. Everyone wins, right? The algorithm supposedly monitors ride requests versus available drivers in real time across every neighborhood. Too many people requesting rides, not enough cars nearby. Boom, surge pricing kicks in. The theory sounds almost elegant in its simplicity. Former Uber engineer Keith Chen published research in 2015 claiming surge pricing increases driver supply by a whopping 70 to 80%. Academic papers written by Uber's own economists paint surge pricing as this brilliant innovation that solves the fundamental problem of matching supply with demand in real-time transportation markets. But here's where things get interesting. Data scientists and investigative journalists started pulling apart the actual numbers behind surge pricing activation. What they found doesn't match Uber's tidy narrative at all. Analysis of real ride data shows surge pricing frequently activates when driver supply hasn't actually decreased. You'll see surge pricing pop up during times when the same number of drivers are on the road as normal non-surge periods. Even more suspicious? The algorithm often triggers surge pricing in areas where drivers are sitting idle, waiting for rides. Think about that for a second. If surge pricing is supposed to solve driver shortages, why does it activate when drivers are literally available and ready to pick up passengers? The official explanation starts falling apart pretty quickly when you compare it to what's actually happening in the app. Something doesn't add up here, and investigative journalists and data scientists started digging deeper into when surge pricing really activates. The real smoking gun came when researchers at Northeastern University got their hands on something Uber definitely didn't want them to see: 48 million trip records across 4 major cities. What they discovered should make every Uber user furious. The research team found surge pricing activated during completely predictable events regardless of actual demand levels. Concert ends at Madison Square Garden. Surge pricing kicks in before people even start requesting rides. New Year's Eve approaching midnight? The algorithm starts cranking up prices at 11:30 p.m. like clockwork. Not when ride requests actually spike. But here's the kicker. Researchers compared Uber's surge periods with taxi demand data from the exact same times and locations. Yellow cabs in New York showed completely normal demand patterns during events when Uber was charging double or triple rates. If there was genuinely overwhelming transportation demand, wouldn't traditional taxis see the same surge in requests? Instead, taxi wait times remained steady while Uber prices went through the roof. The heat map visualizations tell an even more disturbing story. Surge pricing zones consistently expand way beyond areas of actual high demand. A concert at Yankee Stadium triggers surge pricing that somehow spreads to neighborhoods 15 minutes away where nothing is happening. These aren't organic demand patterns. They're artificial scarcity zones designed to capture anyone who might possibly need a ride. During one New Year's Eve analysis, the data showed surge pricing activated simultaneously across entire metropolitan areas. Think about that? The algorithm somehow determined that every single neighborhood in a city experienced identical demand spikes at the exact same moment. What are the odds of that happening naturally? About the same as winning the lottery while getting struck by lightning. The Northeastern researchers concluded that surge pricing operates more like dynamic revenue optimization than genuine supply and demand economics. Translation: Uber cranks up prices whenever they think they can get away with it, not when drivers are actually in short supply. So what's really happening inside Uber's surge pricing system? Thanks to a series of devastating leaks and whistleblower testimonies, we now have the receipts showing exactly how Uber manufactures these artificial shortages. The smoking gun came from leaked internal emails spanning 2014 to 2016, obtained through various investigations. These aren't vague corporate-speak documents. They're engineers and executives explicitly discussing how to optimize surge triggers for maximum revenue extraction. One particularly damning email chain shows Uber employees bragging about surge pricing performance during natural disasters, with subject lines like "Sandy surge success metrics that would make your skin crawl." But the real bombshell came from a former Uber data scientist who testified that the company developed predictive surge modeling specifically for events, not reactive pricing based on actual demand. Predictive pricing that kicks in before people even start requesting rides. The algorithm analyzes historical data to identify when surge pricing will be most profitable, then preemptively reduces driver allocation to those areas to guarantee scarcity. Think about how diabolical that is. Uber deliberately pulls drivers away from areas where they know demand will spike, creating the exact shortage conditions that justify surge pricing. It's like a fire department reducing staff right before a heat wave, then charging premium rates for emergency calls. The massive Uber Files investigation by the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists exposed how this surge manipulation strategy operated across multiple countries. Internal charts show driver allocation algorithms systematically reducing available cars in high-value areas during predictable events. Concert venues, airports during holiday travel, entertainment districts on weekend nights, all getting artificially starved of drivers to maximize surge revenue. Documents reveal Uber executives celebrating these optimization wins in internal communications, treating surge pricing like a video game where the goal is extracting maximum cash from captive customers. The algorithm isn't responding to market conditions. It's manufacturing the market conditions that justify price gouging. The manipulation goes even deeper when you examine how Uber exploits psychological triggers to make surge pricing feel inevitable rather than predatory. Surge notification pops up on your screen and suddenly you're not thinking rationally anymore. That countdown timer shows 30 seconds left to accept the ride at current pricing. The message warns that demand is extremely high in your area. Your brain shifts into panic mode. Better grab this ride before prices go even higher, right? That's exactly what Uber's behavioral manipulation team designed you to feel. Behavioral economists at Duke University spent 2 years documenting how Uber's interface systematically primes users to accept inflated prices. Their research revealed that those countdown timers create false urgency even when driver availability hasn't actually changed. Screenshots from their study show surge multipliers displaying 2.4x pricing due to high demand, while GPS data proved dozens of drivers sat idle within a 6-block radius. The psychological manipulation gets more sophisticated. Uber runs constant A/B testing to optimize messaging that reduces price sensitivity during surge events. Different user groups see different warnings designed to make surge pricing feel justified. Some users get high demand in your area while others see limited drivers available, even when both groups are in identical locations with identical driver supply. Duke researchers found users who saw countdown timers accepted surge pricing 63% more often than those without time pressure cues. The urgency messaging works so effectively that people regularly pay surge rates when standard price rides would arrive at exactly the same time. Compare Uber's interface during surge events with competitors like Lyft during the exact same concerts or emergencies. Lyft's pricing stays stable while showing identical wait times, proving the driver shortage Uber claims doesn't actually exist. Uber's design team studied casino psychology to build these manipulation techniques into their app. Every element, the pulsing graphics, the urgent color schemes, the countdown pressure, exists to override your rational decision-making process and extract maximum revenue from artificial scarcity. When confronted with this evidence, Uber's response reveals how deep the deception goes. When confronted with mountains of evidence showing algorithmic manipulation, Uber's response follows a predictable playbook that should insult your intelligence. Their standard defense. Surge pricing reflects marketplace dynamics that encourage driver participation during periods of high demand. Translation: we're just helping the invisible hand of the market. Nothing to see here. This corporate doublespeak persists despite Uber settling multiple class action lawsuits for tens of millions of dollars. In 2019, they paid out $20 million to California riders who sued over surge pricing manipulation. In 2020, another $8.5 million settlement in Illinois. In 2021, $4.4 million in Pennsylvania. Notice a pattern? These settlements all came with Uber admitting zero wrongdoing while changing absolutely nothing about their surge algorithm. The leaked Uber files revealed internal communications that make their public statements look even more cynical. Executives acknowledged customer complaints about surge pricing were skyrocketing, but decided to prioritize revenue optimization over rider satisfaction. One particularly damning email chain shows marketing executives discussing how to manage perception around surge pricing while engineering teams work to make the algorithm even more aggressive. Travis Kalanick, Uber's former CEO, personally approved strategies to maximize surge revenue during what internal documents called pain point events. Their actual corporate term for emergencies and disasters where people desperately need transportation. Regulatory responses have been pathetically weak across different countries. The European Union launched investigations into surge pricing practices but produced only toothless recommendations. Australia's competition authority issued stern warnings that Uber completely ignored. Even after overwhelming evidence of manipulation, no major jurisdiction has banned or seriously restricted surge pricing algorithms. Uber continues deploying the exact same surge strategies today because the math works perfectly in their favor. Lawsuit settlements cost millions, but surge pricing manipulation generates billions annually. They've calculated that occasional legal expenses are just the cost of doing business when you're systematically deceiving customers about artificial scarcity. The corporate defense boils down to gaslighting on an industrial scale, backed by legal teams that make resistance expensive enough to discourage most challenges. You don't have to be a victim of surge pricing manipulation. Real-time comparison apps like RideGuru and Bellhop show you exactly when Uber's surge rates are artificially inflated compared to competitors. These apps pull pricing data from multiple ride services simultaneously, revealing those mysterious moments when Uber charges triple while Lyft maintains normal rates for identical routes. Consumer advocacy groups have documented specific tactics that consistently beat surge pricing algorithms. Wait 10 to 15 minutes after a concert or event ends. Researchers found surge multipliers drop by an average of 40% as the algorithm's artificial urgency expires. Walk 2 or 3 blocks away from event venues where surge zones are deliberately concentrated. The pricing often returns to normal just outside these manufactured scarcity bubbles. Alternative transportation apps frequently show completely different pricing patterns during the exact same events. When Uber hit Boston commuters with 3.2x surge during a Red Sox playoff game, local taxi app Curb maintained standard rates. Lyft showed minimal increases while Uber's algorithm went haywire. Screenshots from that night reveal $100 price differences for identical trips. Public transportation advocacy creates real pressure on cities to improve service during major events. After surge pricing outrage during New Year's Eve 2019, transit activists in Seattle successfully lobbied for extended metro hours and additional bus routes. Similar campaigns in Portland and Austin resulted in dedicated event transportation that eliminates surge pricing dependency entirely. Apps like CityMapper show real-time public transit options that often beat surge-priced rides on both time and cost. During surge events, subway systems frequently add express services that arrive faster than any rideshare option. The surge pricing algorithm represents a broader trend in how tech companies exploit information asymmetry for profit. When platforms control both the marketplace and the pricing mechanisms, consumers need tools and strategies to level the playing field. Here's what should terrify you. Surge pricing isn't some isolated Uber scam. It's the blueprint for an entire economy built on algorithmic manipulation. Dynamic pricing has infected nearly every industry you interact with daily. Airlines adjust ticket prices multiple times per hour based on your browsing history and purchase timing. Hotels charge different rates to users on different devices. literally discriminating based on whether you're shopping from an iPhone or Android. Major retailers like Amazon change product prices up to 2.5 million times per day, testing your willingness to pay premium rates for identical items. The regulatory framework governing these algorithms? Practically non-existent. While Europe's Digital Markets Act requires some algorithmic transparency from tech giants, pricing algorithms remain largely unregulated worldwide. Companies can manipulate prices using psychological triggers, artificial scarcity, and behavioral nudges with zero oversight. But change is happening. California's proposed Algorithmic Accountability Act would require companies to audit their pricing algorithms for discriminatory practices. The EU successfully forced airlines to display total pricing upfront, eliminating hidden surge fees on many booking platforms. Consumer protection victories in Australia resulted in real-time price comparison requirements that expose retailer manipulation tactics. These wins prove algorithmic accountability is possible when regulators actually enforce transparency. The Federal Trade Commission recently fined several companies for deceptive dynamic pricing practices, signaling that enforcement priorities are shifting toward protecting consumers from algorithmic exploitation. The solution isn't banning dynamic pricing. It's demanding transparency about how these algorithms work. Companies should disclose when prices are artificially inflated, explain the factors driving price changes, and provide consumers with clear information about pricing manipulation. Next time you see that surge price multiplier, remember, it might not be telling you the whole truth about demand. Behind every high demand notification could be an algorithm designed to extract maximum profit from your desperation, not genuine market forces at work.